All right, hello and welcome back. So, without going too much into it, I just want to give a really quick recap of what is happening in our Nile KvK, kind of what I've been doing, what our enemies have been doing, kind of the update on what the fighting situation actually is, and what the KvK system and matchmaking kind of did to us, and kind of why there hasn't been much content in the last 14 weeks, and generally my thought process behind creating content while in a KvK, and kind of why there hasn't been much. So anyway, without spoiling too much, let's dive right into it. All right, this is going to be split into three main parts. The first part is going to be a recap of the allies that we were set with by Lilith in the Nile KvK matchmaking system, as well as go over the map and the plans for the future and where I think things are going to line up. Second thing is we're going to go over the stats that I've gotten so far this KvK, just relatively briefly as there's not really much to talk about. And then lastly, we're going to go over future implications, as well as what I'm hoping is going to happen, and then obviously the goals that I'm going to hit this KvK. So first things first, just to go over the map. So as you see, we have been fighting in these ruins for the last, I don't know, 3 days or so. They opened up not too long ago. But we obviously started in this top right zone, Demieta, however you say that. We kind of formed our way over here. And then obviously, if you've ever played Nile KvK, what the first real fight is this ruins right here. Looks like there's a little bit of fighting going on here, but I'll explain this. There's probably some at the gate too, right? Oh, well, kind of. Regardless, so we had our first fight here. We won this pretty convincing. I do respect 1003 for showing up at least a little bit on that first ruin, so it was fun. Got a decent amount of kills. But the truth is that they are fairly weak opponents, and that's no shot towards them. That is just the natural. I mean, you're going to have very strong kingdoms versus very weak kingdoms when you have matchmaking that kind of plays out like Lilith decided to play us as KvK. So next up, we had our first big zone fight, and like I said, I try to stream all these really big fights, but there was no fight. So I think 1003, knowing that they would just lose to us, ended up not even building into this zone over here. Obviously, they got access to this level 4 pass. So ideally, in a perfect world, right, they would set up a fort blockade right in this area here. We would try to be rallying down the pass and then push their forts. To give you a little bit of an example, our enemies over here had something similar, but they obviously were able to punch through and win. But our enemy set up a blockade here, and then they rallied in. And then so this is actually a better example. Right here is our allies up top, basically rallied downwards, but obviously they have also taken this zone kind of by storm. And so all of our allies have destroyed the opponent's herons. We did not get a fight. The other two camps did get a fight, but I mean, I don't think any of the fights were serious, and none of them lasted for more than a few hours at most. And that's where I was obviously relatively sad about the state of this KvK, is we did not queue, when I say we, I mean 1981, did not actually queue Nile for the sake of ease. And what I mean by that is we're just going to have the kingdom powers up on the screen here shortly, and we're going to go over them. Yes, and so as you can see on the screen above me, these are the camps that we ended up deciding with to go into matchmaking. And what you can see on the screen is we are a part of camp or team number 5. Originally, we were part of team number 10. The reason why we decided to drop out of team number 10 is that we knew that our most likely matchup was going to be queuing into 2614 at a really unfair match where 2614 would end up dominating the KvK. Fast forward to today, and I'm not going to hop around on the map, but I'm just going to tell you that number 10, Team 10, did actually pair up against Team 3, which is 2614, and they're getting pretty dominated on all fronts. So we didn't want to experience that kind of KvK because we knew what kind of KvK it would end up being. So naturally, we said, okay, we're going to drop our power down a little bit. We're going to, queue into hopefully one of these teams around the 1.1 to 1.6 billion power mark. And that brings you back to the list that we have here. So you can see that there are, and I'm just gonna count for the sake of obviousness. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams above that 1 trillion kill point mark that we personally, as a kingdom, I imagine, would have been happy to play against. From the luck of the draw, I mean, we there's no other way to say it other than we got absolutely boned by Lilith. We ended up getting matched against team number 2, which is team 1003 and their respective allies. And so, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about the allies that or the enemies that we're facing, but the truth is that the matchmaking is so bad that they have honestly no chance against them. And I say this with all heart. Our camp alone could probably take all 3 of the enemy camps. It's believed that this camp over here, 31, is actually in a recovery KvK. 1003 has like 24 billion capped power, I believe, but their kill points are under 200 billion. It's not a good situation all around, and I believe that we set ourselves up in enough of a good spot to let Lilith just pair us with any of these other teams that would have been a great and fun KvK matchup. Now, I don't know, I haven't looked at all the KvKs to see who they're playing, but in my opinion, Lilith should void the teams that have no good matchup. First of all, there would have been a better matchup that I could see, right, if we're going to pull this thing back up. Team number 11 had, or even team number 8, right, had a decent amount of power and 700 trillion kill, or 700 trillion, oh my goodness, 700 billion kill points. They could have very easily been playing against team number 2, and I think that would have been much better, where we could queue against one of the 5 teams with over 1 trillion total kill points. So, but either way, I think that Lilith really desperately needs to do something about these kind of KvKs. We were not intending on having this be a farm KvK, and truly, like, I want to fight. I have a ton of resources. I've been super active, but I'm not going to be investing any more money into this KvK as far as crystal tech or anything like that goes, because it is now just a sunk cost. There is no reason to do so, because there is literally no chance that we lose this KvK. And that kind of goes into the reason why I haven't been streaming, is because all we've had is like 2 ruins fights where they got absolutely demolished, and then they didn't even come into the zone. And again, this is going to seem a little standoffish, but these are average reports that I'm getting against these guys, and it is pretty kind of disgusting. This is actually not a great example, because they are using some meta pairings, but I mean, I've run into some absolutely wild combinations that they're using. I mean, they're using cons, they're using like epic commanders, they're using archer commanders paired with infantry commanders, and now some of these aren't the worst combinations in the world, but like, you've got El Cid, they're taking deads in the field, and I keep saying this, but like, it's not technically 1003's fault that they're queued into us. It is just the way that Lilith decided to create this random match. And I think that they should be voided, and either us, like, I would have rather not had a match found as the absolute worst case scenario, rather than going into a KvK like this, because this KvK is just, it's not good for the players and it's not good for the game. So, and especially being in a new kingdom in 1981, I know that I myself, as a new migrant, was really looking forward to basically participating and proving myself in a way. And I know that we had just gone through new leadership here in 81, and I know that they wanted to not have this boring KvK. And another thing that KvK like this does is now the dispute for the star is going to be insane. So I'm not in leadership. I don't claim to be part of the diplomacy team or anything of those lines. But basically, who gets the star at the end of this KvK? If all of our opponents don't show up, and there's no Kingsland fight, they just refuse to fight us in, for this past 4, past 6, and then past 8 opens, they don't build into the zone, and then we just get a free pass into Kingsland. Like, who gets the star? And at that point, what is it? Civil War? Is it rock paper scissors? And so it's not a good situation by any means. And so now this is going to lead into the stats part of the video, but my stats are fine. The reason why I kind of laughed when I zoomed in to this ruins fight is there was a little altercation going on earlier. Is this is how we've had to get all of our kills. So Horace here, shout out to you. You're on a video now. But basically, I mean, look at this. This guy's using Huo with Richard. Not to call him out, but right, like in order for us to get our kills this KvK, we have to pop an expansion and just sit at this pass and let them hit you. So me personally, I've just been using like a 25 or 50% and just parking my Marcher at the pass, going AFK, literally like I don't care. Just going AFK, letting them run it down and then resetting it. Because that's the only way to get kills, because there are literally no opportunities to get any kills as KvK. You guys know me. I'm all about the kills and the honor grind. Well, so I actually didn't mean to bring this up, but you know, I also chain a lot of barbs as KvK. And normally by this time, you know, I kind of have a natural break in my PvE grind, and I'm able to reset my head with a lot of fighting. But dude, I mean, I'm only one person, and you know, this gets tiring for me. This is hard for me to keep up, barb chaining this much on a daily basis. And you know, granted, I do it for fun. It's relaxing in a way, but at some point, like, you know, we have 36 more days of this. I've been doing this for 12 days, and like, it's starting to become just mind-numbing. As far as the kills go, I have probably the second most kills in my kingdom right now, and I'm not saying that to like, ooh, look at me. Like, this is just because I've no-lifed and just sat the most marches at the pass, and I have 23.5 million kills. I would argue that the majority of our KvK participants will actually not be having 30 million kills this KvK, and it's not because they're not fighters, it's not because they're sitting there farming the whole KvK, it is truly just because there are no opportunities to fight, and that's where it gets really, really frustrating. I mean, I sat here for the MGE and the enemy elimination event for like hours over the weekend, just like trying to find these little small skirmish fights that would net me a few kills. And I mean, that took hours. Not like after, you know, 4 or 5, 50% expansions for one march in ruins. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's gross. And it's not even like I feel good about these kills. They're literally just, I mean, no offense, but just hitting really low powered players over and over again. It's kind of like a KP meat grinder. And I mean, I have 23 million kills, and I don't think I've even, you know, I haven't even used all my healing speed ups because I just never have to heal my hospital. All my trades, I mean, I'm probably trading on average like 1 for 6 as KvK, and it's just not, it's not too fun. And I don't want to keep ranting on the state of this KvK, but it's truly like, it's upsetting to me in a way, just simply because I'm, you know, I'm a fighter and I like to fight. And this was not 81's fault in the sense that, like, hell, we planned this, or this is truly just Lilith matchmaking giving us some of the worst matchmaking I've ever seen in my life, and I really hope that they do something about that, because I mean, you know, these markers have just been here, and they don't even try to hit our AFK marches in ruins. Like, when's the last time like you left your barb march? You know, I'm just chaining in ruins here. Like, you just left your barb march in ruins and had no fear that it would ever get hit. Like, I don't know, it's just insane. So as far as what I hope is going to happen for the future of this KvK, my hope and my goal is that they build into this zone down here. So they come down here. We have our allies, I guess, build up. They would end up fighting each other. We would end up fighting these guys over here. And then obviously our allies down here would fight these guys. And then they would hopefully build correctly to set up kind of like a pass block situation here, you know, drop forts here to make sure that, you know, they don't get pushed back, or I guess it would be in this zone. And then hopefully they make an entry to Kingsland, and it gives us an opportunity to have at least a little bit of a fight that lasts a little longer than 30 minutes. But, you know, if not, then we'll see. So obviously my goal, as per usual, is a top 20 honor placement. I think that given the activity in this KvK, I don't think there's any way that I don't get it. My only restriction is my AP, but that being said, you know, I'll have enough, and we generate enough, you know, by doing barb forts here. Also, a little bit of a side note, I've been saving all the gems that I've been getting from barb chaining throughout this KvK. I think we are now going, let me check, on day number 14. I think it's day number 14 of the KvK. Let's check. Yeah, so it just hit, I mean, it is reset. It just hit reset about 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. So we were on really 13, start of 14 days in KvK, and I barb chained. This is 23,200 gems, so it's pretty cool. I'm going to keep this until the end, just in case, just for some cool stuff. So as far as the, complaints about no streams, like, again, guys, I'm sorry, but I guess I could stream more some of the casual stuff, like me barb chaining and maybe some of the small ruins altercations, but the truth is, like, why would I throw on a stream to rally a pass and then just teleport back out and farm, I really don't want this KvK video to be like a downer video, but it is an update, and I just wanted to explain my thought process behind everything that's going on, and why I am kind of so disappointed in the Lilith matchmaking. I hope it wasn't too standoffish, but what it has given me the opportunity to do is actually farm an absolute boatload of resources on my farms. And I'm going to come out of this KvK with a few, maybe 10, 15, 20 billion more resources than I had going in, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Basically, the strategy that I've been doing for this entire KvK is I have all 5 of my marches out, and then, oh, perfect timing. But I leave one march on my farms open, 1 or 2, but generally 1 just for the ease of access. And then what I'll do is I'll farm swap to all these different farms and join forts on all 5 of them while setting out the other 4 to do gathering. And I think I've net, I mean, you saw my resources in the top right, but I think I've net about 6 billion total resources in the 14 to 20 days that I've actually been playing this KvK, which, when you think about that, I mean, that's 3 billion resources a week, and that is a lot. So hopefully I can keep this up. And actually my next video is going to be about how to make the perfect farm account, and surprise that none of these accounts that I'm showing you are perfect farm accounts. They actually went over the power that they should be at, but I'm not going to get too much into my next video because that's going to spoil it a little bit. So anyway, guys, I hope you do enjoy. I will try to stream any fights that we have coming up, but until then, I hope you guys stay safe, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Peace.